Pride and Prejudice is a novel written by Jane Austen and published in 1813. The novel is set in rural England during the early 19th century, and tells the story of the Bennet family, which consists of Mr. and Mrs. Bennet and their 5 daughters, Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia. The novel opens with the arrival of Mr. Bingley, a wealthy and eligible bachelor who takes up residence at Netherfield Park, a nearby estate. The Bennet family is excited by the prospect of marrying one of their daughters to Mr. Bingley, and Mrs. Bennet is especially eager to see one of her daughters wed to a wealthy man. At a local ball, Mr. Bingley is accompanied by his friend, Mr. Darcy, a wealthy and proud gentleman who immediately draws the ire of Elizabeth, the second-eldest Bennet daughter, with his haughty demeanor. Mr. Darcy also insults Elizabeth by refusing to dance with her and making derogatory comments about her family. Despite her initial dislike of Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth begins to develop a friendship with Mr. Wickham, a charming and handsome soldier who has a long-standing grudge against Mr. Darcy. Meanwhile, Mr. Bingley becomes increasingly enamored with Jane, the eldest Bennet daughter, and they become engaged. However, Elizabeth's prejudice against Mr. Darcy causes her to reject his advances, and she instead becomes entangled with Mr. Collins, a pompous and obsequious clergyman who is set to inherit the Bennet family's estate in the absence of a male heir. When Mr. Collins proposes to Elizabeth, she turns him down, which infuriates her mother and puts her at odds with her family. As the story unfolds, the relationships between the various characters become more complex and nuanced. Mr. Darcy begins to show his true character by helping Elizabeth's sister Lydia after she elopes with Mr. Wickham, and Elizabeth comes to realize her own pride and prejudices, and learns to appreciate Mr. Darcy's good qualities. In the end, Mr. Darcy proposes to Elizabeth again, and this time she accepts. Jane marries Mr. Bingley, and Lydia and Mr. Wickham marry as well. Mr. Collins marries Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's friend and former suitor, and the novel ends with the happy marriages of the various characters. Pride and Prejudice is widely regarded as one of the greatest novels in English literature. It is a satirical social commentary on the customs and values of English society during Austen's time, and explores themes such as social class, gender roles, and the nature of love and marriage. The novel is also notable for its sharp wit and humor, and for its complex and memorable characters. Overall, Pride and Prejudice is a timeless story of love, misunderstanding, and personal growth. It is a novel that continues to captivate readers today, nearly 200 years after its initial publication.